And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, here we are again, another day committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about helping you understand your buying decisions, making you just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region's #1 consumer advocate program right here, 7 years on air now. And we want to help you win. It's up to you to engage. We'd love to entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want you to engage with us. We've had an uptick in calls this week, had some interesting scenarios, folks wanting to refinance their home and maybe purchase with Diane Vance, Fairway. Lots of people calling about their credit improvement and so many different ways. 80 categories of consumer advocate content and advice here. Over 50 show partners. These are the absolute best professionals in the Tampa Bay area. We're talking about attorneys, CPA, financial advice, real estate, home services. So many ways that we help you here as your consumer advocate on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So we'd love for you to save our hotline number in your phone, because at some point you may need it. 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline. 813-670-7372, and bookmark consumerqb.com. You can submit emails through that website and give us a call directly. That's the best way. Call or text our hotline. It's an off-air number. So we want to make our introduction today. Today we're going to talk about some of the mental health sides of COVID-19, the Chinese COVID virus, and we've got Lela Bloodsworth back on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Lela.
Hey, Brandon. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning. So psychotherapist here, Consumer Quarterback Show, local to St. Pete. Going to talk a little bit about today about how to be a COVID couple, right? A lot of people are at home.
Right. That's what I'm terming a COVID couple, and people get it when I say it. So
that's right. Yeah, so we've got Lela Bloodsworth on the show today. Also, Anthony Ornella, JarredBunch Consulting and Investment Philosophy. We're going to talk about how this fear in the market and with the COVID pandemic is affecting some people, Anthony.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to be here, Brandon. Thanks for having me on again. To all those consumers out there listening, thanks for sharing your most valuable resource with us today, your time. Always do appreciate your ears and your attention while you're out there consuming all the great services that are around you. Investment philosophy. There's a lot of emotion in the market right now, and with the right strategy, how to win big over the long term and make sure that you're in line with yourself.
That's right. Yeah. How to win big, how to, when you're looking at right now, there's so many, so much going on. And a lot of times it's about immunity. We're talking about your immune system. And when you have these, this COVID-19, the number one thing that affects your immune system is your mental health, your fear. If you're focused on fear, a lot of people are in that position where they're thinking about fear because the media, of course, the mainstream media pushing some of this rhetoric and things that really scare people. But we want to help you understand, what the facts are and what things are happening here. Unemployment is slowly, it's the numbers are coming down. It's at the week of May 9, it was down 2.9 million as far as the Bureau of Labor and Statistics weekly unemployment filings. And also some of the misconceptions. I've been on a lot of webinars with real estate coaches and business strategists, Tony Robbins podcast, and a lot of the data that we're hearing is just not really the absolute truth, and it's portrayed as the truth. But if you think about over the 30 million plus people that lost their jobs, what's seldom reported is over 12 million people have actually found new jobs. They've found either a new job or got rehired back. So the pandemic is slowly starting to get better. We're kind of moving towards some normalcy here. So we want to help you win, and of course, in real estate as well. My wife, Lindsay, and I own and operate the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty, and we were just recently featured again in Florida Realtor Magazine for the May 2020 issue. So we want to be your local economist of choice right here in Tampa Bay. The market is also, it's an interesting market. People don't understand that they think that it's all doom and gloom because they hear some of these national networks, and but here locally what we're looking at is low inventory. We still have low inventory, and if you're watching our TV show version on WeBeam TV, Apple TV, or Roku, this is Pinellas Realtor Organization. This is the multiple listing service 1 month sales and inventory report. So from April 1st to April 30th, you can see that the inventory is still low. The inventory was low based on price point. So for example, between 250,000 to 299,000, there were 223 units sold. And out of that, that's 14.1% of the market. And then if you look at the average list to sales price, it's still in the 90s. It's in the high 90s, 97, 98%. And then the average days on market for that same bucket was going to be right at 41 days on market. So the complete inventory for that 250 price point, the overall inventory for that price point is 524 properties available, and that equals a 2.4 months of supply. So it's a low inventory market. And here's the big thing. Here's the big takeaway is that, with the low inventory that we're seeing in the market, it's a great time for sellers. Sellers can still get their properties on the market, sell quickly because there's less competition. Unfortunately, our mentality, a lot of people are in the mentality of, oh, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see what happens. But the problem is that's not a good strategy. So when it comes to buying, selling, or investing, we would love to talk to you, educate you about the market, and help you with your real estate search or sell. So buying, selling, or investing. All right, let's jump into it. So we got Lela Bloodsworth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Her company is Bloodsworth Intervention. She's a licensed psychotherapist. So talk to us about what you're seeing out there, Lela, and what kind of feedback you're getting from the community.
Right. So for a lot of couples that I see, there's a whole just new way of life going on for people, from kids not being at school to a lot of roles being changed in households. So if you had kind of your designated roles in your relationship at home, and now all of a sudden someone, who wasn't doing necessarily maybe the laundry or spending as much time doing homework with the kids, we're seeing that there's a lot of maybe role reversals going on, or the need for people at home to be asking for help in ways that maybe they never did before, and not even thinking to do that. If you've been in a role or you have your designated responsibilities at home, to not even think to ask to delegate some duties, or to ask someone to help with the laundry, or maybe your significant other is better at math with your kids than you are, and you never even knew it. So to try to embrace the opportunities that there are to delegate some duties, but also to do that without resentment, to accept absorbing some of those roles that maybe you never did before, and becoming stronger as a couple. Because a lot of people don't know, how long they're going to be home together. Some people are going back to work. Things are slowly opening up. Some people aren't. But we still, are going to have some lingering aftermath and consequences on our mental health for everyone on this, because it is considered trauma. This is a post-traumatic stress kind of incident, and we're not post yet. We're still in it. So a lot of people are just trying to adjust and survive at home with each other.
Yeah, we were talking with our one of our attorneys, Joe Kearns. He's our family law attorney, divorce attorney, and what a bad time to be arguing with your spouse. You're stuck at home. You have the situation where now all of a sudden, instead of just having back to your roles and responsibilities, you're a parent, you're a spouse, a teacher. Now you're teaching, you're working from home, so you have all these added responsibilities. And by the way, hey, let's maybe be a good citizen, and let's volunteer some time, donate some food. Let's try to be a good neighbor. So you have all these new added responsibilities thrown onto your plate. So Lela, what would be some tips on how we might be able to handle that stress, that added stress from these different roles?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think first being able to talk about it with one another, and being able to say, hey, I know this is difficult for us, or that's difficult for us. When we don't have the light at the end of the tunnel, we don't know in absolutes when something that is troublesome or bothersome is going to end. It makes it even more difficult to cope with it. But in your family system, or in a couple's situation, to be able to recognize for one another what each other's challenges are, and have been through this, and to say, we're going to get through this, and to focus on what you do have. power and control over, to focus on the positive things. I don't know, maybe your yard looks better than it ever had and you didn't have a lawn service do it the past couple months, you did it, just to find those little nuggets through this situation where you can actually recognize the positive things that are coming out of this, or at least show appreciation to one another, because we can become very hyper focused on the anxiety of all this, the unknown, and just miss out on the things that are here, the things that happen in our daily, where we are able to offer appreciation for one another, positivity to one another.
Yeah, where you focus on, where your focus goes, your energy flows. It's, if you're focusing on the negativity, especially with the overall, the news every day, it's constantly the same thing. This many deaths, that many deaths. By the way, there's a lot of deaths that are being misclassified as COVID deaths when they're not really COVID deaths. There's a big political play behind this thing. So the focusing of where your energy is going to go, Lela, is one of the main things that you're saying that people can do.
Absolutely, because you can become stress monsters and you can feed those stress monsters with each other, or you can decide, how do I become a calming factor? How do I be a voice of reason? How do I bring, some focus to the relationship and positivity, because it's there if you look for it.
Right. Yeah. Focus on gratitude. Focus on things that you can do to help other people out. Our feel good story of the day is an interesting story coming up as well. And it's a perfect example of where you focus. It's when a garbage company noticed an elderly customer had not put the trash out, they called her and saved her life. So this is an interesting story about a random act of kindness and how people can help change other people's lives. So we're going to talk about that coming up. Also, Anthony Ornella, JarredBunch Consulting, going to talk about the market and how the market is rebounding and what's happening in terms of investment philosophy with the COVID-19 and how the fear can come into play with that. And also is how to use the stock market to fuel real estate investments or other investments coming up. And more from Lela Bloodsworth as well here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Stay with us. Don't touch that dial. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, Consumer Quarterback Show page, and the Platinum MVP team on Facebook. And we'll be right back after this short break.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week. 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and made
entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left hand white, and then they catch the left hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
As your super connector, we want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to.
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back their rights. I've got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step image. I love that image because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. We would love to talk to you. We also have cash buy opportunities. Keller offers, gives us opportunities to buy your property cash with a quick closing. So we're talking about a cash closing in a matter of days. So Keller Williams has some great programs there. We're also recruiting right now. We're hiring and interviewing recruiting agents that might want to join our team. We have a plethora of leads, lots of lead sources coming in, over 50 listings. So it leads to a lot of buyer calls daily. So we need help. We need help managing the leads. So if anybody out there is a real estate agent or know of a good one, we would love to bring you in and interview you and see if you might be a fit for our company culture. This segment is brought to you by Two Maids and a Mop, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Reach out to Two Maids and a Mop. Tabitha is the owner here for the Clearwater area. Reach out to Tabitha with Two Maids and a Mop. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties, and they can help you as well. They have a pay-for-performance plan, which is a huge competitive advantage with them, and they offer safe, reliable, professional-grade cleaning. Reach out to Two Maids and a Mop, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we would love to help you with any connections to our 80-plus categories, 50-plus partners here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we also like to feature a couple of our listings here on the show. We've got 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. This is a waterfront beauty right on Lake Tarpon, which Lake Tarpon is a 2,500-acre lake. It's one of the largest acres in Central Florida, largest lakes acreage-wise in Central Florida. 520 George Street South, Tarpon Springs. There's no homeowners association. You got a private dock and a mother-in-law suite. Great real estate investment opportunity right here in Tampa Bay. We also have 422 Wildwood Way in BELLEAIR. This is a beautiful single-family home, two-story home. The owners put over $100,000 into recent upgrades with this property, and it's surrounded by wonderful golf and close to the beaches as well. So check out 422 Wildwood Way in BELLEAIR. Beautiful floor plan, great properties. All of our listings are at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we're going to go to Anthony Ornella now, Consumer Quarterback Show, our expert contributor in the area of financial advice. And when it comes to the market, it comes to COVID-19, and a lot of people are falling into that fear philosophy right now, Anthony.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of emotion in the market right now. And let's take a walk back in time. Now let's go to January and February of this year. And what was the attitude? The attitude was everything's gravy. Everything's going to continue. We're having success. We're going to continue having success. And there was all this overconfidence inflating the market. And everyone was pouring money in, buying. Some people were prepping. There was all these human emotions involved. And then as the COVID-19 started to break loose in China, as it started to break loose globally, what happened? You go back mid-March. That's when the fear sets in. Everyone's pulling out and stuffing money in their mattress and losing their minds. It was a terrifying time. And you have this emotion, this human emotion driving the decisions. And now today, you look at today, and what do you have? You have two camps right now. Great time to buy in, great time to hide money away. You have all these opinions swirling around. You have fear, then you have opportunity. You have fear, you have opportunity. So what do? Where do you turn? Well, you got to ask yourself, why did you get involved with the stock market to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your roots, understanding why you started investing in the first place. And one of the things that I work with clients all the time is to explain the JarredBunch investment philosophy and what the value of understanding why you're using the markets in the first place. And so one of the key components of this is rules and evidence-based investing. So when you talk about fear, when you talk about opportunity, when you talk about anxiety, when you talk about overconfidence, when you talk about following the herd, when you talk about these investor biases, How do you curb those investor biases? Well, you take the human element away. There's statistics out there that working with a professional advisor or an investment advisor adds passively about 4% onto your return annually. And that's simply because, and it's done well, and the human element has been removed. Just the human element constitutes 2% of that. Just a 2% increase when you can eliminate the human element. So when we talk about evidence-based, it's not theory. It's stuff that has been proven. That's evidence is proof. Systematic rules. And what does that mean? Well, when you're rules-based, when you find out what the client wants that money to do, is it growth? Is it income? Is it usability? Is it to help with expenses? Why are they storing that money? Why are they trying to get it to be safe or to grow? Excuse me. That's when you go back to understanding and building the rules around what the client needs. That'll lower the cost. That'll lower the human bias, the human element. We are flawed. We're humans. We can't help it. We're humans.
Right.
When you have some kind of parameters, and these are the parameters in which I'm working in. When you have predictable parameters, how much less stressful is it going to be in times when the market's taking a nosedive? And you can turn to your investment policy statement, when you can turn to your advisor and say, hey, is this still inside the parameters? Yes. Yes, it is. And yes, there's ups and there's downs in the market. There's no way to avoid that. No guaranteed returns in this world when it comes to this kind of stuff. But when you have an evidence-based approach, when you have that transparency, when everything is clear, when everything is concise, when everything is based on a set of rules and evidence that you are clearly in understanding with, you not only have trust in your advisor, you not only have trust in your strategy, but you have trust that everything is going to be okay. So when we talk about winning big, if you're looking to make a quick buck, chances are we talked about it last time I was on the show. It's like entering yourself into the Olympics and expecting to win a gold medal the first go around.
Exactly.
This life, this financial journey that we're on, it's not just your financial life, it is your life. This journey that you're on is a long-term game, and to have a strategy that's in tune with who you are is so vitally important.
Right.
You have to eliminate the human element, because as you said, Brandon, when your attention is on the fear, you're going to be stuffing the money under the mattress. And when it's stuffed under the mattress, you're looking at inflation, cost of living, planned obsolescence, new technologies. All those things are eating away at that pile of money that you have.
Right.
If you're riding the market all the way to the bottom and there's no strategy to help stop that volatility, well, it's going to take you forever to recover from all of that. And think about all the money that you could have had if you had just prevented some of that loss.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about investment philosophy, you got to take the human being out of it. That human emotion is driving so much. Just with the announcement of the potential vaccine that came out, was that yesterday or a couple days ago? The stock market shot up. That's one company, that's one stock, and that's one news bite that's driving all of that growth. That's a lot of money riding on what if.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when do you get in? How do you get in? Well, you need to set your strategy. It's always a good time to invest in the market if you know why you are investing in the first place.
Yeah. We're talking with Anthony Ornella, JarredBunch Consulting, financial advisor, wealth advisor, and Anthony, there's been numerous studies on out of Harvard and also the FBI about people or human beings are two things: the human condition, and we don't believe it in a lot of cases, but we are, number one, we're irrational and we are emotional. Okay, so we are emotional and irrational beasts, and it happens, and you can see it across a lot of different industries and situations. But when it comes to investing money, think about how hard we work to get that dollar in our pocket and then to take it and give it to someone because they were referred by somebody. Reminds me of like a Bernie Madoff story, right? You have all these different scenarios. Oh, trust him, you can definitely trust him. Here's what I would say: it makes sense to get a review. Is that something you would offer if people say, hey, I want to send you my documents, here's what I'm doing, here's what my wealth advisor's been doing for me? Would it make sense to do a review? And would you enable our listeners to, utilize your time and help them with a review?
Of course. Yeah. And a review is always a great thing, especially if someone is just looking at one component of your financial life, and that would be just the investment component. It's always good to get a review, just like your taxes. You should always, every 3 years, take a look at maybe an accountant or another CPA to get a second opinion. Not that your person's doing the bad work or meaning to do bad work, but absolutely to get a review as to see what other things are out there. Active management of portfolios, and this is just the statistically accurate. 95% of financial advisors that actively manage portfolios fail to beat the market.
Right.
And so having a review or just getting a second opinion, with third-party analytics, like I said, evidence, rules-based. This is not my opinion. These are facts that we're basing these investment decisions on. And absolutely, those consumers that are listening to this, those consumers that are watching this, if you have questions or concerns, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what your investment advisor is doing, you don't know what your financial planner is doing for you, reach out to that consumer hotline. Have Brandon's team get in touch with me, and let's Zoom call right now or jump on the phone and chat about getting a review done for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm here for the consumers.
Well, that's the big takeaway too, is it takes 15 minutes, 30 minutes to get a review done, to make sure. And how much better are you going to sleep at night when you know that, hey, they're doing a great job, or maybe, hey, this is one thing to maybe consider, and, to get a second opinion. Just like if the doctor tells you, hey, you've got a tumor in your brain, you're going to go get a second opinion before you let them start slicing open your skull, right? So when it comes to your money, it's very similar to that. This is your livelihood. This is how you pay for your housing. This is how you pay for your food in your shelter. So reach out, text the word review, 813-670-7372. Text financial advisor or review to 813-670-7372. We'll put you in touch with Anthony Ornella and his team, JarredBunch.com, JarredBunch Consulting, and let him take a look. Let him just see. Maybe you got some holes in your boat. You're rowing down the river, but you've got some holes and you're slowly sinking that you don't know and you don't see that. So let's put you in touch. Just text review 813-670-7372. And when we come back, more from Lela Bloodsworth, Anthony Ornella, and also real estate market update right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it's Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 who knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week. 62 who knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember anymore.
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and changed
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left-hand white, and then they catch the left-hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
as your super connector. We want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to...
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back. I've got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, with Women Unscripted, I know
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team. Former USF football player, longtime quarterback on our sports teams. Now we're quarterbacking a different game. We're quarterbacking our consumer advocate-based radio and TV show, our real estate team, and we want to make introductions to our 80-plus categories of show partners here. Everything ranging from home services to attorneys, great attorneys, a lot of fiduciaries that we work with as well. And we're going to explain, fiduciary, what that means, because a lot of these other companies, they're not actually working in a fiduciary capacity. They're working for potentially the betterment of themselves and their pocketbooks versus your wallet and what matters to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about fiduciary roles here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And this segment is brought to you by the BELLEAIR Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, the beautiful BELLEAIR Beach Resort over on Treasure Island, Florida. And we just got back. We had a nice 2-day stay over at the BELLEAIR. Nice getaway over to the beach. Enjoy the beautiful the sugar sand beaches and the dolphin-filled waters of the BELLEAIR Beach Resort. Beautiful property. There's 2 pools on site. Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant. There are fire pits outside, and 90% of the rooms at the BELLEAIR Beach Resort have beach views. Not many other hotels can say that. Great opportunity. Reach out to Clyde Smith. He's the general manager, and let him know that the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Shout out to BELLEAIR Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got a couple of hot property listings here as well for this segment. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. This is an awesome opportunity for a business owner to own their own building. This is a private freestanding building. You've got signage on Hillsborough Avenue, large conference room. You got a small kitchen and about 8 other offices in the building. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. There is plenty of parking, fenced in, camera, security systems. Great opportunity at 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue right here in Tampa Bay. I've got a great priced condo here as well. This is a first floor condo at 2689 Sable Springs Circle, number 105. This is a single floor, the first floor of the building. You've got views on 3 sides of the unit. So check out this listing at 2689 Sable Springs Circle, unit 105. It's waterfront. You've got a water view of this pond, and it's a great opportunity to own real estate here in Tampa Bay. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And we also have Lela Bloodsworth here back on the show. So we're going to talk more from Anthony coming up in our lightning round. I want to go back to Lela and just talk a little bit about, what you're seeing in terms of, the folks are in these different roles. They're dealing with financial difficulty in a lot of cases, and we know that that's the number one thing that leads to divorce. I know a lot of your practice is built on, helping people in that situation. So if you could maybe give us some tips in terms of, those types of scenarios, what you've seen.
Really hitting home, making informed decisions. If you have decisions to make, doing that with an informed mind. And a lot of the people that I'm seeing, we tend to be more impulsive and do things impulsively that will make us feel maybe momentarily good. So I see a lot of couples right now that are just maybe having conflict or having disagreements or discussions over what's going on with their money. Obviously, we work hard for our money, and some people aren't sure, when more money is going to come, or where the best places to put their money. But you don't want to forget about your medical health, your dental health, and most certainly not your emotional health. my practice here in St. Petersburg, we have been fortunate enough to continue to be busy seeing people that are, feeling depressed or dealing with whatever the challenges are, but are putting their mental health, first as a priority. And I know when funds are uncertain, it's to know where to put your money, but as a couple going to make decisions about spending money that you talk it over together. So if you make mistakes, you made them together. It's easier to not blame one another if you're talking about things and discussing things with one another. But most definitely encouraging people not to neglect their medical, dental, or mental health. It's so important right now to stay on top of that. My website, www.bloodsworthintervention.com, has a list of many services that I provide. People are still, dealing with relationship issues, needing couples counseling, needing help with their kids at home, needing assistance with their divorce. I'm a Supreme Court certified family mediator, a qualified parenting coordinator, and a social investigator. So there's many services that I can offer while the courts are still really trying to just see more emergency-based cases. There is help out there for families during this time. And these are the issues that people need to be attentive to. You have to stay on top of these things. And there's resources that might even help people to get through it more economically as opposed to waiting. But keeping your mental health for yourself, for your children, for your significant other, it's just so important to stay on top of that right now. And I am back in the office offering therapy in person and my services in person, as well as still doing teletherapy and video conferencing for people that want that. So there's just really a lot of resources right now out there for people to stay on top of that and not just, I guess, say, well, this is going to be better when everything's better. You don't have to wait to be better. You can work on getting better now. And when things get better externally, they can get better. But learning that internal, intrinsic sense of being able to care for yourself is really important.
Yeah, we're talking with Lela Bloodsworth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, psychotherapist right here in Pinellas County, St. Petersburg area. And when you think about what you just mentioned, I want to dive deeper on, well, first of all, the Supreme Court. That's pretty cool that you are verified through or licensed through.
Supreme Court certified.
Certified. So when you have the certification, what resources are out there for people? Both are there monetary resources, or is it more resources in terms of counseling and those types of play?
Well, it definitely can be way more economical to use the service of a Supreme Court certified mediator, a family mediator, if you're going through a divorce, that help facilitate negotiation agreements that will save a ton of money. You don't have a process where the parents or the couple are able to work together, whether they're just dealing with assets and liabilities, or there's a parenting plan involved if they have children. Using a mediator can bypass having to go through litigation and give people a chance to, in a very non-pressured way, talk about what their needs are moving forward for themselves, financially, for their children, whatever. And it can be way more economical. The same as getting therapy when you're going through something. If you're a better person at what you're doing, chances are what you're doing is going to go better.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lela Bloodsworth here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. BloodsworthIntervention.com is her website. And it's such a part of, the just overall, in general, the United States population. When we see the divorce rate going above 50%, we see, declining moral values. You see, especially with TV and some of these different shows. It's such a challenging part for parents, teachers. I think the respect level has really diminished over the decades in terms of how kids, less than 18 years old, respect authority. What would you say in terms of those? What are some quick tips for parents, teachers out there, maybe on how they can help the adolescent understand, the morals, values piece of this human condition?
Well, I think it always goes back to, you have to be an example, whether it's you're talking to your children about right or wrong, truth, lies, how to handle adversity, how you're dealing with what's going on with COVID. It's really, there's an opportunity there to try to be an example for the people around you. And it's not just your children, it could be your friends, it could be your significant other. But to just always keep in mind that if you're struggling with something, it's not a stigma to go get help. Mental health shouldn't be something that's seen as a stigma. Our country has suffered from so many tragedies because mental health intervention wasn't provided or even recognized for someone or advocated for someone. So, I think the best way as a community for us to live healthy. I mean, what happens in someone else's household matters to me because, those are the individuals in our society that could be making decisions to impact me and my family. So just supporting mental health. If you see someone that looks like they're struggling in a kind way, to be able to encourage them to get help. And if it's yourself, to be accountable. And if it's your children, not to wait to get help. But there are certain services. There's some grants. There's some community-based agencies. For the most part, a lot of insurance companies will have a mental health rider policy where you can use your mental health insurance to cover. But again, it goes back to setting priorities of where your needs are in your life to be as functional as possible, and to put your resources in the right places and to use those resources sooner rather than later. Because if you're dealing with depression or anxiety, any intervention, but why not go get help? If your tooth aches, you don't wait to see if it's going to get better. You go to a dentist. And mental health should be no different. And as a community, for us to just support people in our community and our families in getting help when we recognize that there's issues there.
Yeah, it's such a key part of the big picture piece is when, especially where you focus on things that are out of your control. Sometimes some people say, oh, well, this election's coming up, Trump or Biden or this or that. Well, it's one thing to be a part of that process, but it's another thing to analyze it and worry about it every day and think about, man, I'm going to really influence this thing one way or the other. There's millions of dollars, millions of lobbyists, focus on what Stephen Covey said, that sphere of control versus that sphere of influence, things that you can actually control and not the sphere of concern. Yeah, we're somewhat concerned about Washington, D.C., but how much can we actually influence? That's one thing is a big part as well. So more from Lela Bloodsworth coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Anthony Ornella as well in our lightning round. And our feel-good story of the day is a good one. Find out about this garbage company that noticed an elderly woman. She hadn't put her trash out, and they called to find out and check up on her. Find out about that right here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. And we're back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. A couple of hot listings here. I've got a lot of vacant land available. Anybody out there looking to build, purchase land and build, either residential, commercial, get some great opportunity. They got about a dozen or so vacant land parcels throughout Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco counties right here in Tampa Bay. One of my larger pieces is 4214 Peaceful Lane in Land O'Lakes. This is $1 million property. It's priced over $1 million. There's 8 lots, 5 of which are right on the waterfront, directly on the waterfront right here in Land O'Lakes on Bell Lake, which is a ski lake right here in Tampa Bay. It's a 90-acre ski lake. Attention builders and developers, reach out for more information about 4214 Peaceful Lane in Land O'Lakes, and we would love to send you the full file on that. We've got some disclosures that we can send you as well. We've got also 0 Alternate 19, aka 516 Alt 19 in Palm Harbor. This is another lot you can build on. The owner has plans for a mixed-use building right in the area of downtown Palm Harbor. So what a great opportunity to own and build a brand new building right in Palm Harbor. You've got the walkability to all the fun restaurants right there, right off of Alternate 19. So you've got 40 to 50,000 cars a day driving by your property and your signage out by the road. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. And giving a big shout out to our friends over at the Golf Cart Depot. Say hello to Marty and his team. They do a great job over there at Golf Cart Depot. They've got the Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, and now the Icon electric vehicles available as well. Pre-owned, remanufactured. Golf Cart Depot. They will bring the golf cart to you as well, so you can test drive it at home. And they said follow their Facebook page for updates. They've got the Easy Go Valor gas as well, just over $6,000. Great opportunities here in Tampa Bay. Check out our friends at the Golf Cart Depot. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, every day we're going to tell you something positive here in our feel-good story of the day, and today we have a good one. So this is a gentleman by the name of Jake Bland with Hometown Hauling in Louisville, Kentucky. Noticed a woman hadn't put her trash out in more than 2 weeks. He knew something was off, so Bland asked dispatch to call the customer. Bernice Arthur called the 90-year-old woman and discovered a heartbreaking reason she had no trash out. She just didn't have anything to eat. Arthur said, and that's why she had no trash to put out there. The elderly woman had no way to leave her home to get groceries amid the coronavirus pandemic, and she was running out of food, and Hometown Hauling decided it wanted to help. She has no family, nobody, Arthur said. So I said, you have family now. So Bland helped compile a list of groceries and went shopping. He then personally delivered the groceries to the woman. And, quote, it was even in a nice neighborhood, Bland said. You never know what's going on in your neighbor's house. Bland says he hopes this story will serve as a reminder to check on your loved ones if possible. And, quote, if we had not reached out to her, she was not reaching out to anyone. Arthur said it taught me a lesson and to check on them and put something on their porch. So there's our feel-good story of the day out of our friends up in Kentucky. All right, so our feel-good story of the day, what a good one. I love the random act of kindness as we talk about here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we're going to jump into our lightning round. And the lightning round is going to feature top tips, parting words of wisdom from our 2 expert contributors today. We've got Lela Bloodsworth, ladies first. Lela Bloodsworth, Bloodsworth Intervention, licensed psychotherapist.
So lots of people say they want to do things to help. They want to make the world a better place. So my tip is going to be, if you want to make the world a better place, to go home and love your family. That's where it all starts.
I like that. Anthony Ornella, JarredBunch Consulting.
It is very hard to follow that nugget of advice. I will tell you there. And Lela mentioned this topic before, but have a conversation with your partner, with your spouse, with your loved ones, and just when structuring and having the financial talk, yes, it can be stressful. Financial stress is one of the top mental anxiety points in a marriage and in anyone's personal life. But until you have that conversation, until you know for certain where the money is and what the money is doing, it's only going to breed more stress. And as Lela said, feed that stress monster. And so when you when you sit back, now's a great time to have that review. Just take a look, open the bank statements, look at the credit card bills, find out where the money is going, and talk about reduction of stress when it comes to your finances. That's a great starting point.
All right, I love that one. I'm going to start off my lightning round with a quote, Jim Rohn: discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. So we've all had that situation where we've looked back at a particular action or maybe a failure to take action, and we said, oh man, that hurt. So discipline weighs ounces, and the ability to have self-discipline is what Napoleon Hill cited as one of his top keys to success after he interviewed did a 25-year study into the 500 of the best and brightest businessmen and women back in the day. We're talking about Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Master Key to Riches, Firestone, and the like. And self-discipline was the number one takeaway. And it's the ability to make yourself do what you should do, whether you feel like it or not. And that's the challenge, is a lot of people don't feel like waking up an extra hour early, getting their sales calls in. They don't feel like making those follow-up calls or doing that prospecting that they need to do if they're in sales. So don't let your feelings get in the way of your success cycle here. And that's the power of self-discipline. Again, the quote by the late and great Jim Rohn: discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. All right, let's go back to Lela Bloodsworth, licensed psychotherapist here. Give us another tip, Lela.
Well, I'm going to say that it's never the wrong time to do the right thing for yourself, and you're never as broken as you think you are. So I think that there's always help out there. There's always a place we can go for help to improve ourselves. So it's never the wrong time to do the right thing for yourself, and you're not as broken as you think you are.
Yep, I like that one. Whenever you're in the moment, if you have a setback or you have a failure, sometimes when we're in the moment of that and it really hits us, the way that we're wired is that we sometimes overreact. We're going to overreact, and we're going to kind of be down on ourselves, or maybe down on a friend that caused that, and we start thinking about bad things. But whenever you're in the moment, I think it's important to realize that it's just temporary, and you won't waste 5 minutes on it if 5 years from now you look back and you wouldn't even remember what that was, right? So right. Think about that.
And if you don't know what you need, if you're not sure what you need, call me, 727-348-7323. I do free phone consults. So if you don't even know, if you think you're broken and you don't know what you need, or if you think you're not sure what the right thing is to do for yourself, it's just taking that first step and making that phone call. And I welcome free consults. It's no problem, 727-348-7323.
Okay, good stuff. And Anthony Ornella, JarredBunch Consulting.
Man, to merge both of those things that you guys said with the Jim Rohn quote about discipline, if you don't have self-discipline or don't know where to start with the self-discipline, you've got that consumer hotline. You can reach out to any of the professionals that can help you get that discipline in check and to build that habit. Being effective, being disciplined is not something you're born with. It's something that you develop into a habit, So I love that quote, Brandon, from Jim Rohn. But last little piece of nugget, and this is, if you followed the show, we talked about the 4 challenges of wealth. We talk about the My CFO series that we progress on my clients through step by step. The first place we start is protection. And talking investments and making money it's sexy and it's a really good time. But if you're going to build a castle and you fail to build your walls, you're opening yourself up to a coronavirus, to a mortgage meltdown, to whatever the next thing that's going to cause all these losses to happen. And so some of the basic things, and protection comes in a lot of forms. Most people think insurance, but let's talk about emergency funds. If you're cramming money away in your retirement accounts and your 401k accounts, that may be a good thing for the long term, but you got to make sure you can get to the long term by having a good liquid reserve built up that can float you in times of need, aka in the middle of a global pandemic. So take a look, see how liquid you are, and see how safe you are in the short term so you can enjoy the long term.
I like that. Thinking of long term, there was a study out of Harvard where Dr. Edward Banfield conducted a 50-year study into what makes some people more successful than others and what helps some people move up that socioeconomic ladder generation after generation or even within one generation. And the number one determinant that Dr. Banfield found out of his study was that developing long-term perspective, long-time perspective is the number one factor in terms of how much success you're going to have and how quickly you can move up that socioeconomic ladder. And thinking about it, where we live right now in the United States of America, Tampa Bay, Florida, right here, one of the best Tri-City areas, the best areas in the state, in the country, in the world. And look at the advantages and opportunities we have with the advent of the internet, the climate that we have business-wise. Yes, we're dealing with the pandemic. We're almost through it. We're almost out of this thing. And the ability to make money and earn riches as the best and easiest time that we've ever seen in the history of, I would like for all of us to think about something here. Let's go back to our great-grandparents' generation for a day. Think about what they did on a daily basis. Everything from bringing water from the river or well, wherever they got their water from, to driving in vehicles, to the transportation, to, horseback. Like, look at all the advantages we have. And again, go back to what Lela was talking about. Focus on being grateful. Focus on what we do have. Focus on what we can control. Those are the key aspects when it comes to being successful. So think about Dr. Edward Banfield and the economic models that he's created in terms of developing that long time perspective, and think about what priorities you should focus on and center around in order to be successful. Think about the 80-20 rule. What are the 80%, 20% of key tasks that you do that's going to contribute to 80% of your success? All right, I want to thank Lela, Bloodsworth, Anthony, Ornella, and all of our listeners and viewers out there, our team behind the scenes. Thanks so much. Everybody involved with the show, we really appreciate you reaching out, calling in, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at BrandonRhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time